Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. We are in for a treat today, and I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, Christian. But before I do, I need you to follow this podcast. Gosh, does it make a difference? Please, please, not only follow it or subscribe wherever you're watching, but send it to a friend because we all need a little more productive joy, and this is the place to get it. So do me that favor, and then you'll find out about guests like Christian. So Christian F. Johnson is our guest today. He is lots of fabulous things. He's a coach. He is a leader. He is a speaker. He is also a husband who claims that he could talk about his wife all day because he loves her that much. He's the father of 3 handsome boys, 2 of which happen to be twins. He's also a podcaster, and he loves food. All food, except cheese because he's lactose intolerant. And he is our guest today. Welcome, Christian, to Productive Joy.
Thank you so much. And listen, I finally felt like I made it. I made it to Productive Joy. I mean, Christy, come on now. Like, this is it. I love that name. Thank you.
Me too. Me too. ChatGPT and I came up with that. So when I knew I wanted to start a podcast, I thought, you know what would I call it? And make work fun so people don't quit is a phrase that I've used in my business for years. And I didn't want this to just be about work. So when I put that in, it came up with Productive Joy. I'm like, that's it. Because you can have productive joy in work, in life, in family, friends, all those places. So I would love for you to kick things off for us, Christian, with something that is going to grab this audience so that they know they cannot turn this episode off. What would you say in like 30 seconds to get them excited?
Destroy distractions.
Well, okay. Worked for me. So destroy distractions. So friends, if you do any cyber stalking whatsoever on Christian F. Johnson, you are going to find that phrase very prominently across his website. Tell us more, sir. What got you to the point where you needed to focus on destroying distractions?
Oh, how much time do we have?
As much as you need. Go.
Listen, first off, I'll say March 2nd, my life changed. Okay. So I'm coming off of a platform from speaking, and somebody, I'll just call her Jane to protect her identity, comes to me and says, it's really hard to listen to you right now because you don't really sound like yourself. And they know me. So I'm like, what's going on with this? And they were in love, but they said things to the point where it hit my heart and my mind where I realized, Christian, I'm speaking, but I'm still silent. And that's the name of my book that we can even talk to later. And what happened was I had an unhealthy reliance on external validation, coaches, different things like that, where I missed that area where what I feel like I'm here on earth to do and be, I was more, I'll say, drawn to what could get an amen in the church world or what can get a hand clap or more followers or different things like that versus the real thing. So I realized I had all these distractions that were hindering me from being truly who I am. And so when I realized that you destroy those distractions by starving them, right? Because what you feed is going to live. And I was feeding flesh. I was feeding the hype. I was feeding social media buzz and speaking, but it really wasn't my voice. So destroying distractions is really powerful. And it's one neat thing about that word. I don't know if you ever did this. You probably have because you're brilliant, Dr. Christie, right? The word distraction, when you remove the DIS, you have traction. And so all the DISs in our life, we're disencouraged, right? We're dealing with all these DISs. When we remove, we have the traction, and then when you remove that TR, you have action. So for me, the distraction is anything that is hindering me from building traction to operate in what I call that divine God action. And that's what I'm about, helping them destroy the distractions, align with God, and really fortifying their focus in their God-given purpose.
I have to say that is not the first time you've said that. It is
100%.
very well-honed message, and that's what I love about it because other people can hold on to that. You've given people things to remember that will allow them to process it in their brain. So I study adult learning. I have been teaching adults for my entire existence, and what you just did with the word distraction burned it into my brain. It's there now. I am so grateful for that. It is clear to me that one, you listen when people give you critical feedback, which is a talent. And when that sweet lady chose to tell you, "Hey, you're not coming across as yourself," you chewed on that. That is not a comfortable thing to have to do, and it's also not a trait that everybody has. Who taught you that you needed to listen when people told you things that you didn't really want to hear?
Well, let's be a little. I'm gonna be real. Can we just be real on
Please.
the Productive Joy podcast? I was angry.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
get me wrong. Like
sure.
I was livid. Okay, but again, from my perspective, very faithful with where I am. I felt like God, Holy Spirit, was inside, like saying to me, "Be still
Hmm.
and be quick to listen." And so the person was operating out of love, but what I heard, I needed to receive this because it's another thing. What I say can be it can be powerful, but those who are hearing what it is that I'm saying and I'm ministering or speaking to, that's what it's really about. It's not just about me, it's who I'm getting to. So just to hear that, I really feel like it was a God thing
Hmm.
because typically I can bounce back, I can talk, I can do this. But I was like being still and I didn't say a word till they were done. This conversation went on for probably about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But I was there listening and there. And other thing is, Christy, I immediately said, you know what? If this is what this life is about, speaking and doing this, then I quit. If you to this day you can't find me on Twitter, you can't find me on Instagram, you can't find me on Facebook. Only platforms I'm on right now is LinkedIn and YouTube because I had to go through that whole area. So it was a God moment for me where it was to save my mindset. And
Hmm.
if I was really to commit to this, I had to listen and receive what needed to be done. Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry is one of the principles that I try to apply.
Don't we all try? And like that's all we can do, right? We're not perfect. We're not going to nail it every time. But it's powerful that you recognize that sometimes we have to be still and we're not going to like what the audience, if you will,
Mhm,
whether the audience is your employees or an actual audience or whatever, your kids, when your audience is telling you things
mhm.
that you don't want to hear. It isn't as pleasant, right? When it comes
Right.
at you that way. I know I had something recently happen to me where so I'm a bold flavor, wide open. I give scratch and sniff stickers to adults. I am full tilt, wide open. And I was an MC for an organization over a 3 day period. So they got a lot of Christie. And I went full tilt and got tons of praise. And then I read the comments afterwards, right? Like the survey results. And of course, you look at 100 of them and 97 of them are unbelievably positive, and you focus on the three that said she's too much. And what I realized in that space is that it's okay to be yourself, and you are going to be too much to some people. You're
Hmm.
not there to please everyone. You're there to be your authentic self so other people can too. And you've learned that. And I am really impressed that you recognize that that's what's shifted your momentum into where you are right now. So, do you help people do this? I mean, you've written a book. So, tell us about your book and what it helps people do.
Yes, when you're speaking but still silent, it's really, again, it comes from that place from what I said. And yes, I do. I coach and I speak from this perspective because I suffered from mimicry, mask messaging, and misalignment. And I talk about that in the area of the book because it's easy to say, man, you know what Dr. Christie said, that's the good point. Let me go ahead and write that down. And now I can mimic that, right? I can go ahead and reply that. And it might be a place where you have it in your mind, but it really hasn't been something you embodied.
Mm.
So I realized ever since being young, I've always been, I'll say, a present centered person. But for me, that present centered is just being present in the presence of God. I just have always been a spiritually gifted or spiritually aware individual. But I wanted to hide that in different environments, right?
Mm.
It was too much. It was this, it was that. If I'm in corporate, well, how's that going to go over? If I'm in ministry, okay, but whatever. So that perspective, that joy, that place for me from the area of the book, I'm like, how can I really truly be who I am and stop watching what's working for everybody else? So I spent tens of thousands of dollars in coaching and on programs, and they're amazing. They're not the problem. I'm a coach. I still have those programs for myself. But when you're not aligned with who you are, and it doesn't matter what Tony Robbins can be there himself. and get you to that point, but you got to believe it for yourself. And so that part there from this area, I'm starting to realize there is a measure of success externally, but internally there can be a misalignment. And I feel like my posture within the book and within what I coach and speak is to really see that high achieving, spiritually minded leader who's out there doing amazing things. But when you turn the camera off or we come from behind the microphone, can we really be aligned with who we truly are? Or when you build a brand, sometimes you're no longer what the brand is. Does
Mm.
that make sense there,
Oh,
right? If you're
yes.
holding me to my first episode, right, and to who I am now, that may be two totally different people.
Yeah.
But when you're building that brand, they want you to niche down and you're about this and you're about that. But what if that? So it's a hard thing when you feel like the way you're presenting and what you're getting applause for, but sometimes there's a misalignment inside. And so I write about that and I take people through, I call it the rinse method that I take people through that really helped me personally in that area. We can talk about that wherever
I
you want
would
to go
love
with
to.
this.
Tell us about the method. It sounds like it's a formulaic thing that we could
Yeah.
repeat, right?
Yeah. Well, you talk about the destroying distractions. So it's a 5 step. I call it like a spiritual calibration to help that leader return to their center. So it's an acronym. You go with R if you're writing down for our viewing and listening audience. R is for recognize the distraction. Dr. Christie, I had to realize I was lying to myself. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I would be a liar if I said I had not ever been there. Absolutely, I've been there.
Lying to myself about these distractions. Oh no, it's just this. Oh no, it's just that. But if it is calling me to be at a place where I'm not gaining that traction or that divine action in the things in my family and the focus, the isness for what God had called for me to do here, then I need to realize that. So I had to recognize the distraction. I is to identify your divine assignment. And guess what? That divine assignment can shift. From my perspective and belief, the spirit is the one who gives these assignments, gives this divine center, God, universe, whatever name you want to call it. I'm okay with it. But identify what that is. You don't know how many leaders, pastors I've coached, and I say, what is the one thing while you're on earth to do? And they say, you know what, Christian, I never thought of that. And we're leading people
I know,
and
right?
we're doing different things. And so identifying your divine assignment helps you to move forward with that. The end is neutralizing the distractions with truth. And for me, neutralizing that place, I practice meditation. I meditate in the morning, I meditate at night, whenever I need that time. And to get to that place of neutrality and realizing that whatever tried to take power over me in the earth realm, so to speak, that I love the model of Jesus where he's meditating and he's praying, realizing I'm in this thing, in this world, but I'm not of it. And we have a realm to heaven and that unlimited possible place where if I identify with that truth, I can now, no matter what's going on in my bank account, what's going on in my business, what's going on in my family, what's going on in my health, I can neutralize that distraction with truth. I'm preaching now, as you can already tell. Let me pull down with that, right?
You got excited. I love it.
Yes, I did. And get to that place. But that helped me. I'm like, let me neutralize this. I'm giving it too much power. And that S is for starving what's misaligned, but you have to strengthen what is divine. And just like we talk about me being that foodie, right? I'm gonna tell you, I have a weakness. It's called a blueberry muffin from Wawa. Now I don't know where everybody else is, and they have a Wawa or Sheets or
We
whatever.
have Wawas here in Florida. Yes.
But that blueberry muffin does something to my mind and my body that I know is not necessarily the best for me, right? But what I feed it will also mess with my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, all things. How can I pray, God, I thank you for this food I'm about to receive. Let it be a nourishment to my body, and it's all bad things. So what you starve, right? That's going to die off. That's going to fall away. So why not feed ourselves and strengthen ourselves with natural spiritual wisdom, right? Books, insight, whatever it is, and come from there and say, look, I no longer am going to feed that distraction. And then my E is to execute from your center. You got to execute. We got, and I try to take, okay, when I get a word, like for me, when I've been in prayer, the word care has been coming out, Dr. Christie. And I've been saying, okay, well, if I'm getting care and God's sending me the word care, then he's going to send me some situations that I need to care for. So how can I execute from my center focused on this divine action to care? And I can't skip over home.
Yeah.
So it starts with my children, like we talked about, my twins that are 16 and my 11-year-old. They're driving. Please pray for me, right? My
Big prayers.
wonderful wife, who's amazing. Then it starts to get to the area of frustration. But if we execute from that centered with that focus and destroying those distractions, we're now aligned with God. And where's that vision comes from? God pays his bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't
100%.
even have to worry. It's when I try to do it myself and try to leave out that part is where I find myself, where I personally get in trouble. So that's my rinse method that I take people through.
I love it. Well, and there's the phrase rinse and repeat, and that's what I'm hearing, right? Like you've got to rinse and repeat. This doesn't happen once. This happens daily. This happens all the time. So you recognize the distraction, identify our divine assignment, neutralize
Mm-hmm,
distractions, super
mm-hmm,
important. Starving what's misguided and strengthen what's good, and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
execute from your center. Okay, so
You
hold
got
on.
it.
One, I love it. Okay, perfect. Two, you started with you were standing in front of people
Mm-hmm,
and you were not presenting your authentic self. You were doing all the things that you thought would please the humans instead of doing the things that came from within you. And I use the analogy of wearing a mask when we're in that space, right? So whether it's a COVID mask or a goggles that you're underwater with or a Mardi Gras mask, doesn't matter. The longer you wear a mask, the more you feel like you're suffocating, right? Because you can't take a deep breath. And I think that's what was happening for you is that you were
mm-hmm.
struggling to take a deep breath. And when that happens, your entire system starts to shut down. So you recognized that you needed to take the mask off. And then you came up with a way that people could do the same. Because the knowing doing gap is real, right? And so you know better, but do you do better? Usually not. So you made it really easy to, or simple, maybe simple is a better word, simple to do what needs to be done to take off the mask. So I'm really, again, grateful that you didn't keep all of that to yourself. You recognized other people needed it. And there's power in that, sir. Very, very much so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a fun question for you because you said that the reason that you wanted to be on this podcast was the title. And productive joy, again, even though chat helped me come up with it, it has become kind of who I am. I have always had a propensity towards the positive, and that's been my space. But the reality is that I think that fun and work do not need to be mutually exclusive, and that we need to have more productive joy. So, if you had to describe or define productive joy, what would you say it is?
Well, thank you for that. And I'll tell you, I got lost just with those two words, and it's so powerful. You and ChatGPT are amazing within
I
that.
mean, together we're unstoppable.
It's the power team. It is the best assistant that I've paid for. Anyway, so I would say the fruit of alignment.
Mm,
Productive joy is the fruit of alignment. So from my perspective, when I'm talking about that alignment, that's that divine alignment, right? That God alignment, God, mind, self. And so I feel like what happens, that's what happens when you're no longer striving from that pressure or that external performance area, but operating from your divine center, right? With that where that peace and that purpose flow together. So from my perspective, that joy isn't a reaction or a result, and I am very result driven naturally, okay? But it's a daily choice to co-create with our higher power and cooperate with that divine right action. I think that's that part. And I was looking for the feeling, but that productive joy, that's that choice. Every day I can choose to align myself. It's not just about the result, but I can get that joy and to just because I have the power to align with my God mind and move forward. Again, so for me, going back to my original statement, it's that fruit of alignment for me.
mm, mm. I haven't had anybody describe it exactly that way, and yet I feel that in who I am,
Mm.
right? That is, so the fun part is I think we're on episode like 185 or so, and I've never,
Woo!
I know, right? We're having so much fun. And I mean, this is something that I think I was made to do because I get to ask questions of really fascinating people. And out of the 185 or so, I haven't gotten exactly the same answer twice. I have gotten similar themed answers. Like a lot of people have said, a few people have said that it's kind of that flow state, right? Where you get into something and you're just going with it and you don't have to think about it. But what I heard from you that is unique is that there is a very clear target, and that's that alignment. It's recognizing that that's where we're supposed to head and that all of our actions should get us to that point. I think that's beautiful. So here's the next part of the question that might be a little tougher to answer. How do you create it? How do you create productive joy in your world?
Yeah, so thank you. I love that question. So creating that in my word, I'm going to be repetitive, right? Because I really stand by these points that you've already hacked me, but it really is when you can destroy a distraction, that automatically it just signs you up for positioning yourself. So many I'll call this guy Bob because I do discovery calls like all the time. Bob I talked to the other day, and Bob said, I'm successful in my business, I'm doing what I need to do, but my capacity is so full right now that I'm forgetting things that are crucially important.
Hmm.
And I'm concerned that if I don't fix this, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. So for me, I came in with my energy and I'm like, oh, Bob, oh, we got this, right? We're going to go through this area and we're going to destroy this distraction to see the hope, the possibility, the perspective to go through the rinse method and realize that this is what it is and this is where we are. That right there, to destroy the distractions, to align with God, however you want to name it, so many names out there, that's joy all by itself. So I infuse that not by anything that Christian is doing. I love the best coach in the world I got from Genesis 1 and 2 when God says, who told you you were naked?
Hmm.
Because really what he's saying is, where did you get your information from?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the whole area. We've gotten so much information from social media, for this, for that, from all those. Sometimes we got to turn off the noise, turn off the lights, look within, align with the kingdom or our God mind, and come from that place and realize I've had joy all along. It's just been the distractions of the world, of the earth, of the self pressure that is hiding it. So I firmly believe there's nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken within you. We just have to remove those distractions to align with ourselves. And oh, what a joy that will be.
You are fun, and you have done something that you may not realize you do. I know you've mentioned a couple times destroying distractions, and that is kind of your mantra. And you said, I'm being repetitive. You're not being repetitive. You are dripping information so that people can hold on to it. So my book is called Learning Can Stick, and in it, it talks about you have to make every interaction safe, logical, fun, and memorable, right? What you're doing is being memorable. Memorable means that you sprinkle, splash, flood, drip information. So the sprinkle splash is like the beginning of a rainstorm when there are those really big drops of water. Well, that's the preview to the storm, to the movie, to the whatever. And so going on your website, I get a preview of destroying distractions, right? It's just like a little sprinkle that says, that's interesting. In talking to you, I get the flood. And the flood is super important, but the problem with a flood is that you lose most of that water or that information in runoff because you can't absorb it all. I can only absorb a little. So remember at the beginning, I asked you to think about what's the number one thing you want people to remember. In this podcast, every episode I've done, I have asked that question at the end because I know how adult brains work. Actually, all brains, but really the adult brain is that we latch on to one thing, not many things. And so the flood, we're going to lose a lot of it, but then you have to drip. The drip is the water that falls off the trees after the storm, right? That's when the soil actually gets wet.
That's so good.
And
That's so
so
good.
well, you do this. You do this by nature. So
Ooh.
drip is the people that grab your book, right? The reminders, and you've actually done a few drips in our conversation because you started there. And throughout our conversation, you've brought us back to the rinse method and that drip. And I'm pointing that out both to you because I'm giving you kudos, and then
Thank
to
you.
our audience because y'all, this is how you get a message to stick. Don't
Mm.
stick with us when we hear them once. They stick with us when we see ourselves in them and we hear them more than once. So you're doing a darn good job of getting adults to understand the point you're trying to make. And I hope that you recognize that that's a talent that not everybody
Wow.
has. So
Wow.
well done, sir.
Well, thank you. And no, I didn't. I just thought I always say it's the preacher in me, but maybe.
Well, preachers are often taught
Yeah.
to repeat themselves throughout a message, right? Like come up with what your key phrase is and then get that to go throughout. Now you know the brain research behind it. Because as a
Thank you.
26-year educator, that's what I know to be true is that that's because our brains don't latch on to things if they've only heard it once. So kind of
Wow.
fun, which leads me to how would people find your website, sir? How would people find you?
Absolutely. Yes. So, like I said, I am on LinkedIn. You can look at I am Christian F. Johnson, and I would love to connect with you as relates to that. And then also on my website is I am Christian F. Johnson as well. So I try to keep it simple to that. So I am proud of that. F is really special to me because I've gone through just a season where I was not connected with my father's side of the family. F is for Frederick, and that's my biological father's name. And so, yeah, that's what I want to be made known. So you can find me on there. You can look at the Presence Centered podcast on YouTube. Yeah, and just reach out. If you have any questions, if you feel misaligned where you are, reach out. And maybe if y'all talk enough, maybe me and Dr. Christie can go on the road together because I feel like we would have some fun.
We would have a lot of fun. You and I think, are kindred spirits. And when you find people who are your people, you're drawn to not only who they are, but what they have to say and their unique genius. So you've called it a couple different things. I call it your unique genius. That's the thing that comes really easy to you that is actually something that most people can't do. And one of the things that you have is you have that ability to get your point across, which is wonderful. But then you also recognize that you're not supposed to fit in a box, right? So Elise Myers says, if I'm too much, go find less. And
Ooh.
and that's what I had to teach myself when I got that feedback that I mentioned before, right? Where I had a couple people who I was just too much. That's okay, right? Like it is okay for me to be too much if that's who I am. As
Mhm.
long as I'm not doing it to be off-putting, that's different. But
Yeah.
when I am showing up fully as who I am, then other people get to do the same in my presence. And that's what
Mhm.
you do. You show up fully
Mhm.
as who you are now. Now, I guess back in March, that's when you learned that this was something you needed to do. And I'd kind of love to do a comparison between who you were
Sure.
trying to be and who you are now. Because when we get into our unique genius, we're kind of unstoppable. But until we get there, we're
Mm.
still wearing that mask. So thanks for taking the mask off, sir.
Oh, thank you. What you just did. I don't know if look, I'm getting so much out of this just from you. And so thank you for being you. I want to go back and just see how you've been able to look at me and pull out those things. That mask messaging is so easy to do. And if you don't have loving people in your life
Mhm.
that will tell you the truth in love, you won't even know you're doing it.
Right.
So thank you for being you. Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
see, when we're both showing up with our unique genius, magic happens. And I just consider it such an honor that you heard of Productive Joy and said, yep, that's something that I want to contribute to. And I know our listeners have gotten so much out of this conversation. I do have some rapid fire questions for you, though, before we're done. Are you willing?
Sure. Let's
Oh
have
my
some
gosh.
fun.
This is my favorite part. Okay, first question. What's your definition of fun?
Life?
Okay. The
I
fact
know it's rapid. I'm a
everything you've said
processor.
to this point was quick and easy, and my question stumped you for a second. I kind of love it.
Yeah, I'm a processor by an area of that. But the reason, well, life. You said rapid, so
But
let's
that's
keep
okay.
it quick.
I kind of want
Okay.
to hear it now. Say more.
Well, no, because for so long I've had a mindset of lack and scarcity
Mm,
pertaining to life. So
mm.
when you say fun, I'm like, let's live, let's travel, what are you like? And so my wife and I've been talking about that. So that's why you took me to a story in my mind, and I'm like, life. But go ahead.
Well, you better go tell her you're planning your next trip because that's what you learned today. That's what I heard. Okay.
Ah,
How do you know that you're showing up as your authentic self?
my inner tugging.
Like it. Okay. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
Meditation, prayer.
Well, you're consistent, that's for sure. And you have shown us all of these answers, which is pretty cool. Last question, tough question. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, though. By nature, people are going to only be able to latch on to one major idea from our time together. What's the one thing you really want them to hold on to?
Destroy those distractions.
And you did that beautifully for us today, Christian. Thank you. Thank you for being our guest. Thank you for just choosing to sprinkle joy everywhere that you go and to do so from a place of authenticity. It's really special. Well done.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And listeners, y'all, if you aren't getting the same charge out of this, I would be really surprised because when people show up authentically, you recognize that you can do the same. And I want that for every single one of you. You know that my challenge to you every single time I'm on this platform, whatever you want to call it, is that I want you to leave with something you can use right away. So maybe you have discovered what your distraction is, or maybe you need to call Christian and figure out what your distraction is. Maybe you need to rinse and repeat. I don't know what it is you need to know. I just know that the knowing doing gap is big and we need to jump it. So let's jump it and make sure that we do something with the information that you've got today, because my challenge for you is that you figure out a way to turn fun into action.